Hello.
Oh, hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nathan.
I'm gonna see. I'm actually at the office today here. Generally, I'm not here at the office, but I'm
Hi.
Hi, guys.
It's me talking, Antonella. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Antonella.
Hi, I'm here with Isabella, who's doing some direction, and Claudia from the staff of the festival.
Hi, Nathan. Nice to know you.
And Alessandro Savoia, who is the
some
journalist critic, will briefly introduce you. And then there are all the students from Liceo Renato Caccioppoli in Napoli. They are from the 3rd and 4th year, so they are between 16 and 15, 16, 17 years old. And they are happy to be with you today. I want to thank you for being with us, first of all. And
thank you for having me.
What's the goal of your movie?
No, but the goal of the film is to help people get a better understanding of who Greta is. I think sometimes, and this isn't just for Greta, I think it comes from true for lots of people in the public, that we have a very kind of one-dimensional understanding of people in the public. And when it comes to Greta, I think that people have seen her very much as this kind of very angry girl who just kind of screams on political leaders and is just furious. And I wanted to nuance that because, of course, a person is much more than just one side of it. That the film is about kind of getting inside of her world and getting inside her head, and that's kind of the mission to help people get that understanding.
Io vi sento. Okay. The second question is about the people that Greta meets during this year. No, can you tell us behind the scenes of these special moments? I'm thinking just about the meeting with the Pope.
Yeah, of course. Greta has met many influential kind of people during the year that I followed, and some of them are in the movie, and most of them are very much as they are portrayed in the film. They are like short meetings where you kind of get a little chance to talk to one of these leaders and influence them. So it's actually not much more than when you see what you see in the movie.
Nathan, we are having some questions from the kids. So since there are many of them, it's 60. We only have 6 questions from them, from the 2 different classes. And so we have last question from Alessandro and then the kids.
When was the first time that you know the history of Greta? Who told you about this little girl, very little girl?
Like many documentary films, this started with a tip. I got a tip from a friend of mine who knew Greta's family a little bit, that she was going to do some kind of a small kind of manifestation outside the Swedish government building for the election. And I talked to my boss here, we had a discussion, and I decided to spend 1 or 2 days to do a recce and go down there and see if she was of any interest.
Ok, perfetto. Sì, allora, lo scopo del film è più presentarci una figura come quella di Greta col messaggio che se abbiamo uno scopo tutti possiamo raggiungerlo, oppure cerca attraverso Greta di sensibilizzare sul tema dell'ambiente?
Ciao Viviana. I would say that the goal of the film is not to kind of teach people about climate change or kind of to teach people about those kind of facts. It's more about understanding the person of Greta, and through that personal story you kind of understand what activism can do, both how it can help, but also what kind of a burden it can be at some positions. And the second part is that and through understanding a person, an activist, to learning about that person, okay, then you understand what activism kind of means, both much of the positives, how it affects the world, which is great, but also some of why it's hard as well.
Perché secondo lei il pensiero di Greta è così persuasivo e come è riuscito ad attirare milioni di persone?
Buongiorno, Maria. So I would say that I think that the reason why Greta became so influential is to kind of an effect which is a crossing between very much timing, that she kind of started to speak about this issue in a time where many people were worried, especially in Sweden and many parts of Europe. We had a very warm 2018 with lots of forest fires. So you have that timing of a time of worry, and at the same time she has this very big talent, that she has a big talent to be able to speak about the issue of climate change in a way which is easy to understand and that focuses on the most kind of important facts, not making it too fussy. And that kind of connection between the talent and the timing happening at the specific kind of time maybe creates the spark, I think.
Grazie, Maria.
Hi. What was your first approach with Greta? And was there a particularly difficult scene to shoot?
Thank you, Gio. I would say that my approach to her was very much out of curiosity. That's how I work. When I film someone, it's based on me being curious of that person, who it is, and why she or he is doing something. So that's kind of the goal. That's the first thing I always go for. And then the second question was, if something was difficult. I would say that many of the meetings with these high-level politicians have been very difficult to film, because many of these political leaders, as a independent documentary maker, to be able to get into those rooms inside kind of the headquarters of the political world, that's very hard, and those have been very difficult to capture.
Hi Nathan, I want to ask you, when was born the documentary about Greta, and what do you think of Greta project and her initiative? You think it is something applicable? Thank you.
So thank you, Emmanuel. Could you repeat the first question just so I missed it?
When was born the documentary about Greta? When?
Yeah. So
thank you.
So the project was born here in Stockholm, Sweden, in the late summer of 2018, when I got this tip from a friend of mine who knew Greta's family a little bit, that told me that she was going to do some kind of a manifestation outside the government, and I decided to spend like a day to go there and see if she was an interesting person.
Hi Nathan, did you find it difficult to get in touch with a young girl suffering from Asperger's syndrome? How did you manage to get deeply into her spectrum? What did you find so interesting about Greta in the first place?
Grazie, Roberta. Really good question. I would say that when it comes to, and it doesn't matter actually if there's someone who has a specific syndrome or not, I think when it comes to getting the trust and to understand someone and make a film like this, the luxury is that you need to have lots of time. So you need to be patient in the sense of that you need to in the beginning, I had no access to her and no knowledge of her, but because I was curious, I came back, again and again, and I asked questions and I listened to her. And when you spend that much time with someone, piece by piece, you build up that trust.
Good morning. Hi, Nathan. And I'm sorry if the question is pretty long, but it came up from, more a consideration than an actual question. So I came up with the following question, which was born out of a phrase pronounced by Greta's father, which is more or less like, of course you could sleep without your bed sheets, but it would be far less comfortable. And However minor the sentence might sound, I think it seems to adapt to any aspects of everyday life. And moreover, it reminded me of an article which was published on the New Yorker last year. And if the article is What If We Stop Pretending by Jonathan Franzen, in which the author paints the scenario which is most likely to happen if we eventually stop faking and pretending that the apocalypse can be stopped. Consequently, we should behave ecologically only because that's the right thing to do, and not in order to achieve, like the safety goal of the apocalypse being stopped. And therefore, I dramatically thought to myself, considering what Greta's father told her, and that human beings naturally crave comfort and pleasure, and if our ecological activism, in addition to that, is not driven by practical scopes, but it's all about ethics, how can we even wish that something's actually going to change in future?
But thank you for your thought, Lorenzo. And I understand it's not a question, but what I could maybe add is I think it's a very, like, what's interesting when you do films is that sometimes these small scenes, these small kind of changes of discussions, they tell the bigger story. And I agree with you that small discussion between Greta and her father about the bed sheets, it's very telling about how I think I perceive many young people versus old people look at the climate crisis. Where kind of older people tend to be more interested in kind of getting, how do you say, the comfortable life of today, where young people sometimes think more long-term and understand that, for them, the most important thing is the long comfortability of their future rather.
Prego, microfono.
Da cosa deriva la scelta di inserire delle scene che attirano l'attenzione sulla sindrome dalla quale è affetta Greta?
Thank you, Andrea. So the question was how I show it in the film?
That where does it come, the idea of why did you choose to show in the film?
It's a really good question as well. And I remember when I met Greta, she had this Twitter account. And on the Twitter account, it said, 15-year-old climate activist with Asperger's syndrome. So she was very open about her diagnosis. And I then became curious about what did the diagnosis mean for her, because it seemed to be a very kind of important way of how she saw the world. And therefore, when I started to make the film and started to understand how she kind of perceived the world, the diagnosis became a large part of the story.
Io intanto volevo dirgli appunto che anche io sono produttrice di documentari e lui ha detto una cosa molto importante, quindi la voglio ribadire e sottolineare così anche voi ragazzi possiate capire che cos'è il mondo del documentario creativo, del documentario indipendente, perché la questione della fiducia del personaggio è davvero la condizione indispensabile attraverso cui raccontare, e il tempo è il fattore principale. Allora io vi richiederei di ritornare in video, così salutiamo Nathan. So they all come back in video, so we'll have a picture of the final the ending of the meeting together with you. Are you working on a new project, Nathan? Let me ask you this.
Yes, I am doing. I'm currently doing research and development of a few new projects. Of course, they're so early on, so I cannot comment on them. But I'm starting to get back again.
Okay, and how is Greta now in this moment where the world is all stopped and totally changed from the perspective she was building last year?
Yeah, she took, as you may know in the film, she says that she took this, what we call a sabbatical year, which means that you take 1 year off from school. And now she's back in high school, so she's studying her first year. So in that sense, maybe the timing was good in that sense.
But she's in school online like we all are, also in Sweden. Are you online?
Yeah, mostly. I don't know exactly. We don't have the same, day-to-day contact, but I think they have lots of studying from home as well now.
And final question from me, or if Claudia wants to add something or someone else, what did she say when she saw the movie?
Yeah, first, she was a bit surprised, seeing herself on the big screen.
Yeah.
But then she actually said that she recognized herself in the movie. And that was something special for her, that the movie wasn't just one-dimensional, but it showed her in so many ways, and it showed how nerdy she was. And she thought that was nice, that it was so close towards how she saw herself, in a sense.
Ho chiesto come Greta si è vista, cosa ha pensato Greta quando si è vista, e lui ha detto che all'inizio è stata un po' impressionata a vedersi sul grande schermo, però poi diciamo si è ritrovata, si è riconosciuta in quello che veniva raccontato. I think you have been very delicate and very correct in all these filmings, and even in the larger journey she made, and you have been a companion to this trip, which was so thank you for your job, and thank you for your way of giving us an idea of how Greta really is.
Thank you, Antonella, and thank you to all of the kids today. I think for me, mille grazie to you guys, because I know that Italy has been such an important country for these school strikes, and many of the largest protests in Europe has been in Italy. So it's with big respect that I look at how you in Italy have been really focusing on this issue and wanting your politicians and your leaders to address this.
We need changes. So Nathan, we thank you so much again. Io ringrazio tutti i ragazzi e le docenti che sono state qui.
Ringraziamo noi voi, sempre. Vi ringraziamo per questi spunti che ci offrite e veramente vi sosteniamo in ogni modo. Grazie a voi.
Oggi è stato un incontro particolarmente faticoso da gestire, ringrazio Isabella e quindi ci vediamo in una prossima occasione, magari dal vivo, Nathan. I will wait for you in Napoli live, and we'll be able to, and we'll show you around the city. Have you ever been here to Napoli?
No, I haven't. The furthest I've been is somewhere in Rome or Marche. So, but it's a dream to go to Napoli.
We'll wait for you here then. Ok.
Ok, mille grazie, arrivederci.
Arrivederci a tutti.